A group of French tourists were caught on film as they narrowly escaped being mauled by cheetahs at Beekse Bergen Safari Park in the Netherlands. YouTube, FPE Humor Footage of a group of French tourists, including children, stepping out of their car in the middle of Beekse Bergen Safari Park last Monday shocked viewers in the Netherlands. You can see them walking around at one point, then jumping back in their car just in the nick of time, narrowly avoiding being mauled by a coalition of alarmed cheetahs. Watch the footage below. Thankfully nothing happened, but what if one of the tourists had got injured? In this instance, would the park have been held responsible? Fabian David of Letzel Lawyers in Eindhoven thinks so. It's a bit of a tricky one, he says, because animals are unpredictable. Even trained animals in the circus can escape and attack people if they feel threatened or anxious. In principle, the law states that every owner is liable for the damage caused by an animal, but circumstances also factor into that. What exactly happened? What role was played by the person who was injured? And what would Beekse Bergen have had to do to prevent risk? Even if Beekse Bergen had warned visitors of the risks of exiting your vehicle with signs and explanations, it's still questionable whether they'd get away with it. These people must have thought, I can hop out here to snap a quick photo. As a park, you have to accept that people are going to do what they want to do and won't always follow the rules. What's more, visitors can't assess the risk themselves as they don't know how quickly a cheetah can reach them. Minimizing risk. To minimize risk, a safari park must not only ensure that its visitors are aware of its rules, it also has to ensure that its rules are complied with. David says, safari parks can implement camera surveillance so immediate action can be taken if someone doesn't comply with the rules. Or escort vehicles can patrol the park. Basically, I'm not sure what the park is doing now to prevent the risk of such an incident occurring again, but I think a case like this is pretty tricky. The question then arises as to what happens if someone holds the park liable. There will then be two options for the park, says David. The first is that the park indeed admits liability. It's likely that they will have liability insurance, who will assess the degree of liability and, if necessary, settle the claim. But it's also possible that Beekse Bergen would deny liability. In that instance, both of the parties would go to court. Fortunately, nothing happened to the tourists this time. I think it's good, for the tourists of course, but also for the park that this has been a bit of a shock, says David. The park now has some food for thought. The fact that visitors think they can stroll through the park indicates the park apparently have much more to do to prevent this.